Good afternoon, Period 7 in Modern World History. 2015 marks the approximate 250th anniversary since the start of the Industrialization.
The Industrial Revolution was a time of great innovations and creations that would truly change our world for the better.
Without it, we would live in a world without cars, planes, and factories, basically everything Pixar has made a movie on. The Industrialization was an era of increases in machine-made goods that began in England in the 1700s. Times were booming in Great Britain. They were the envy of all countries. Efficiency was king at this time. Less stuff and more stuff, and out was the main mantra on the streets. But why?
In order to understand this, we have to look back at the time that this was happening. Competition was amongst the highest and most important in countries all around the world at that time. Countries such as China, India, and France were all placing their bets in the market. However, Britain was lagging very slowly behind. They needed a way to catch up, and this is where the industrialization comes in.
This period revolutionized agriculture, production, and transportation, as well as communication in the United States. The industrialization had altered every aspect of society and required natural resources such as coal, water, and iron ore. Rivers were needed for merchants, and harbors for merchant ships. The textile industry in the 1700s had begun this revolutionary era. Spinning machines had a leading role in the development of mass-producing factories. Your average skilled worker and farmers that had worked at home now moved to the city, much like a migration. This caused booming manufacturing centers in which thousands of laborers flocked from their rural homes and took a train to work at factories. The U.S. had developed into a technological age in which a burst of inventions contributed to America's daily lives, such as the electric light bulb and telephone. This caused a swelling in new ideas and virtues, as well as an expanding population of commerce. This age had several positive effects. It created jobs, contributed to the wealth of the nation, fostered technological progress and invention, increased production of goods, more education opportunities, and raised the standard of living. One of the biggest benefits of this era was the inspiring improvement of people's lives. They had healthier diets, better housing, and cheaper clothing in large quantities due to the booming textile industry. The manufacturing of fine textiles in the United States established the rise of the industrialization. In the 1780s, although forbidden by Britain, engineers and mechanics left the country. Samuel Slater, being one of many, was a mill worker that had built a spinning machine after his immigration to America. As the eventual development of revolutionary inventions occurred, factories of new technologies mass-produced resources such as shoes and clothing. Railroads played a central role in America's industrialization. It had caused cities to expand rapidly during the late 1800s due to the expanding railroad lines. This profitable business had required a great deal of money that entrepreneurs acquired by selling shares of stock. People who bought a percentage of the company became part owners. Through this system, the rise of corporations came into place. By the late 1800s, large corporations sought to control every aspect of their own industries. As wealthy stockholders and corporate leaders rose to power, elsewhere, workers earned low wages for laboring long hours. In return of economical beneficence, there was also negative effects to this period of urbanization, poor living conditions and sanitary codes, workers living in dark, dirty shelters, and widespread illnesses. These hardships of urban workers, of population increase, health, and wealth eventually rose dramatically in all industrialized countries. This also included lack of adequate housing, education, and police protection, as said in the following excerpt by Frederick Engels. The suffering of countless workers transpired as labor increased and the wages decreased. Nobody troubles about the poor as they struggle helplessly in the whirlpool of modern industrial life. The working man may be lucky enough to find employment, if by his labor he can enrich some member of the middle classes. but his wages are so low that they hardly keep body and soul together. If he cannot find work, he can steal, unless he is afraid of the police, or he can go on hungry, and the police will see to it that he will die of hunger in such a way as not to disturb the equanimity of the middle classes. Frederick Engels. The industries have not only exploited their workers, but have caused dangerous situations. For example, a boiler room might explode, or a drive belt might cause serious injuries. Reformers, in an effort to play an active role to improve conditions for the poor, had demanded more rights and protection. They formed labor unions in which workers joined together in voluntary labor associations. These unions had engaged in negotiations between the worker and their employers for better work conditions and higher pay. As most factory owners had done, they refused these demands. These resulted in strikes. The movement of unions underwent through the U.S. The flourishment of these unions has caused the outcomes of the American Federation of Labor that changed the wages and hours for the average worker through the support of the law. The reforms of industrialization spread all over the globe, affecting many lives.
Although the Industrial Revolution had many negative effects, the positive effects were much more significant. Overall, the industrialization transmuted the everyday lives of people by revolutionizing agriculture, production, transportation, and communication.
Thank you once again for watching RR Morning News. Thank you once again for watching RR News.
This included lacking.
Just get out. Just stand right here and then just go.
I have no jokes. Oh, I know something funny. Raniel's future.
Oh,